This video was made possible by Brilliant. Starship's launch tower is growing at the Kennedy Space Center, while more sections are prepared for rollout. SpaceX loses a Falcon 9 fairing half, and something interesting is happening at Blue Origin's launch pad. Hey everyone, it's me, Jack Beyer, with NASA Spaceflight, bringing you a deep dive into what we saw on our latest flyover. Let's get right into it. Let's start at SpaceX's Roberts Road complex, where sections 4 and 5 of the Starship Launch Tower for Pad 39A are being prepared for rollout in the next few days. We can see scaffolding being installed at the top of the columns of these segments. The fifth segment has been loaded with equipment like these red boxes over here. This prep work indicates we're close to seeing these segments roll out to the launch pad. It's interesting to note that instead of being one at a time, this time 2 sections are being prepared for rollout. So perhaps we might see a dual roll, or at the very least, 2 rollouts very close in time. On our last flyover, we saw that the 7th segment had been started and it's now complete. All columns and crossbeams are already installed, as well as the inner truss beams. We can also see that Section 3 is missing. It rolled out to Pad 39A back on June 27th, and we can actually see the feet stands for that section back here at the tower build area. SpaceX recently submitted a permit to widen the Saturn Causeway near the VAB by an average of 10 feet. This is likely to help these tower section rollouts and future Starship rollouts, as well as other large hardware needed for the massive launch pad at 39A. Over by the tent area, the GSE pipes that were staged on our past flyovers are slowly disappearing as SpaceX teams here at Roberts Road continue installing more of them on launch tower sections. South of the tents at the Mega Bay, concrete is starting to be poured for its foundation. Also, some clearing is being done in front of it, likely for a staged buildup of prefabricated sections of the Mega Bay, just like we saw at Starbase with both the Mega Bay and the High Bay. Having these prefabricated sections built first and then hoisted into place speeds up the construction process. To the northwest of Roberts Road, we can see a chopstick arm getting one of its shoulders installed. The carriage system for the chopsticks has also seen good progress. On our last flyover, this system was in 2 main parts, but now they have been joined together. The only parts left to install are the grabby sections that will be at the end of each half and will connect the rails to the launch tower. Right next to this, we can also see that SpaceX teams are starting to build the ship quick disconnect for the Starship Launch Tower at 39A. This will provide fluids and power to the ships via a quick disconnect umbilical, same as at Starbase Boca Chica. On the other side of the complex, at the Starship factory, roof beams and sections are already being assembled together. It seems quite odd to begin building with the roof first, but perhaps this advanced buildup of these roof sections will accelerate construction of the Cape Star factory in the same way that the prefabricated sections of the Mega Bay aids construction there. At the same time, concrete is being poured on the foundations and we're starting to see the outline of the building itself. More conduit and power lines are also being installed to the south of this location. At Hangar X, the Falcon transporter is out and waiting to be used to, you guessed it, transport another booster soon. It could be perhaps to carry the booster for the upcoming Starlink mission to Pad 40, or maybe it'll go to port and bring B-1058-13 all the way back to Hangar X now that it's returned from its downrange landing. Before moving on to Pad 39A itself, it's interesting to point out a recent plan released by NASA indicating that SpaceX is looking to expand its operations at Roberts Road to the north. The plans describe a truly massive expansion that SpaceX says would be, quote, in support of optimizing production and launch of their reusable launch vehicle fleet, end quote. The expansion would consist of 100 acres of land acquired by SpaceX and a 1.6-mile connector road from NASA Parkway, starting near the KSC Visitor Center and going all the way to Roberts Road. It's fun to think about what all this extra space could be used for, but it could be as simple as just a place to store their ever-growing fleet of ships and boosters. Now let's jump on over to SpaceX's Launch Pad 39A. Compared to the last flyover, the Starship Launch Tower has now risen even further into the sky, with a 3rd tower section already stacked on the rest of the sections previously installed. It won't be long before the launch tower at 39A becomes a dominating fixture of the skyline at the Cape. The tower's elevator is being installed, and right now it's sticking out of the top of the tower with a cap on it, just like we saw happen at Starbase Boca Chica. It's hard to tell from this distance, but you can actually see some groundwork near the base of the tower, which could indicate that propellant lines, wires, and other connections are now being laid out to supply the Starship Launch Tower with all of the fluids and power it needs to function. To the northwest, barrel sections can be seen near the mysterious structure that is being built near the main ramp of the complex. This could be for an upcoming tank to be installed in that mystery structure, as they seem to be about the right size to fit there. What do you think these barrels will be for? Some sort of propellant tank? Maybe a water tower? Let us know in the comments what you think. Moving south to the old Starship landing area, the hexagonal piece that we saw being built on our last flyover seems finally to be finished. While it didn't seem clear last time, now it appears that this structure could well be used to hold the launch mount legs as the teams pour concrete inside them and wait for it to cure. At Starbase, a similar hexagonal structure with crossbeams was installed to hold the legs of the Starship launch mount as they were filled with concrete. Over at the main ramp, we can see that the Falcon transporter erector is missing. SpaceX is getting ready, finally, after more than a month of delays, to launch the CRS-25 cargo mission to the International Space Station. In fact, by the time you watch this, it may have already launched. As a bonus, we also got to see a Falcon booster outside of the hangar at 39A. SpaceX shrink wraps boosters for transport across the country, so this could be a recent arrival from SpaceX's test facility in McGregor, Texas. Moving over to Port Canaveral for a quick SpaceX fleet update, the multi-purpose recovery vessels Bob and Doug can be seen docked at SpaceX's main dock. Bob, who had recently arrived from the Starlink 4-21 mission, had only a single fairing half on board, indicating that the other fairing half was most likely lost. NASA spaceflight team member Gavin, who helps with our fleet coverage, indicated on Twitter that, by his count, this was the first missing fairing half in over a year. While unfortunate, this isn't really a big deal, as SpaceX still has a large fleet of used fairing halves for use in upcoming launches. Moving on now to Pad 39B and the Space Launch System, the launch mount is now empty. The SLS rocket was rolled back to the Vehicle Assembly Building on July 2nd, and it's now getting ready for its inaugural launch. While a launch date hasn't been set yet, it seems like SLS might still be on track for a launch during the launch window that runs from August 23rd to September 6th. Philip Sloss, one of our writers and an absolute legend of a reporter, recently went over everything that's next for SLS in such exquisite detail that it's far more in-depth than I can even begin to fit in this video. So, check that out if you want to know more what's to come for NASA's I can't do it, it's SLS. Next up, at Blue Origin's Launch Complex 36, a sudden and big change has occurred. Their Jarvis test tank that was previously to the northeast of the complex has been removed from the stand. The test article seems to have been moved over to a final resting place to the north at LC-12. It's unclear why this happened, but it might well be that Blue is ready to move over to their next Jarvis test article. We spotted some barrels hanging around the main hangar in a recent flyover, so they appear to have some hardware being laid out already for whatever might come next for the Jarvis program. On the main ramp, Blue's SPMTs were enjoying a stroll out of the hangar. SpaceX is not the only rocket company to use SPMTs, or self-propelled modular transporters, to move large and heavy stuff around. In the case of these, they'll be used to move the transporter erector that will be used for New Glenn, whenever they actually have one to move. Come on, Blue, show us the transporter in the rocket. We believe in you. At their main complex at Kennedy Space Center, foundations for the warehouse expansion continue to progress. Some more steel has been delivered as well, likely related to this expansion. Additional progress can be seen at their 2CAT facility, although changes compared to our previous flyover are very minor. Next up, let's move over to the small-sat launch sites. We can see at Slick 46 that none of Astra's hardware is present anymore. It seems like the company just took everything from here after their most recent launch, which ended in failure, and moved it all back to their Alameda headquarters. This could mean that perhaps a resolution of the launch failure is still some time away, but I'm merely speculating here. Further north, Relativity's Terran 1 rocket still stands at LC-16. The launch pad suffered a minor fire a few days ago during testing when a flare stack ignited a grass fire. CEO Tim Ellis confirmed that the rocket did not suffer any damage at all, and testing will likely continue as normal. You gotta love when rocket company CEOs are willing to be open and share info with the public. Speaking of sharing info, I want to take a moment and thank our sponsor for this video, Brilliant, for helping NASA spaceflight share information with all of you. If you're anything like me, you learn best from hands-on experience, and Brilliant is a fantastic tool for learning STEM topics interactively and at your own pace. It's far more effective than just watching a video or reading something online, because Brilliant uses examples, diagrams, and simple questions to help guide you through all kinds of topics. Whether you want to brush up on your scientific thinking, or you want to dive all the way into something more dense like calculus or astrophysics. Plus, if you ever get stuck and want to know more, there's always a helpful explanation to be found. Viewers of this channel might enjoy learning about the famous rocket equation as part of the classical mechanics course. Or, if you're not ready for that yet, The excellent new Everyday Math course will give you the foundational bedrock you need to feel comfortable with more advanced topics. So get started learning on Brilliant for free with a special offer just for our viewers. Visit brilliant.org/NASA-spaceflight or click the link in the description. The first 200 people to sign up will get 20% off their annual premium membership, and thanks again to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. Well, that's it for this flyover. Stay tuned to our channel to get all the latest news on Starship and spaceflight as a whole. It's been really fun to watch things come together at Starbase Kennedy, and I can't wait to see what's in store in the coming weeks and months. If you liked this video, tell us in the comments, hit the like button, and consider signing up for our YouTube membership program. We've been posting the full unedited flyover footage as members-only content in case that's something you're interested in. Alright, we'll see you next time.